Schwartzy, Schwartzy, you give me so much joy. Schwartzy, Schwartzy, I'm your Jewish.
First of all, I'd like to be, I feel coming up here after Mr. Shine and Mr. Pollack, who described how they met their respective wives, I should probably talk about how I met my wife Diane. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. But that's actually covered in my book, Right Turns, so I won't take your time with it tonight. What I will do is a different kind of confession, which is that I would like to be able to say that it was a stroke of brilliant counter-programming to have the High Center banquet on the same night as the Academy Awards. I mean, what a great concept that was. And when Schwartzy came to me and said, would you like to come down? I said, what a terrific idea to come down to Los Angeles the night of the biggest yontiv in all of Hollywood. And when all the limousines are taken up, and to come down to the Olympic connection of, this is perfect. I wish I could tell you that. The truth of the matter is that I think, I don't think Rabbi Schwartz would mind my telling you, both of us had not marked the Oscar solemnities on our calendars. So this is serendipitous. It just happened. But it's very good because it seems to me it gives us an opportunity to contrast very quickly the work of the High Center with the work of Hollywood. And there really is a contrast, despite the fact, you know, Oscar night, it really is the biggest and most sacred holiday in the entertainment industry. And it's a little bit like Yom Kippur, because everybody is fasting to get into the gowns that you have to wear for the evening, and people are waiting for the day of judgment, you know, and where the Academy votes on who shall live and who shall die, and who shall live by Best Supporting Actor, and et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, isn't it delightful that we're going to have a Best Supporting Actor tonight for playing the world's most charming Nazi in Inglourious Bastards. But look, there are three contrasts that I would like to focus on for just a moment to put the work of High Center in perspective. And those contrasts have to do with the difference between the timeless and the novel, the difference between the big, showy, superficial gesture and the small, intimate, real action. And finally, the difference between living through other people and living as yourself. Okay, first of all, one of the things about the Academy Awards is a number of people ask me, how can you be missing this broadcast tonight? And the point is that this can only be described in one word, which is ephemera. This is like froth on the oceans of life. How many people here, quick, can remember who won Best Actress last year? Does anyone know? Kate Winslet for The Reader, which was another Nazi movie. They had to subpoena people to go to see it. I mean, it was a... And again, if you want to go 2 years back, I could name, does anyone remember 2 years back? Now we're talking about, these are the Oscars tonight. It's supposed to be such a serious thing for our society. The Oscars tonight for films released in 2009, go 2 years back for films released in 2007. Anyone, can you think of any of the Oscar-winning films? Yes? What's that? No, that was 2006. 2007.
No Country for Old Men.
No, that was 2008. But good, you remembered. The 2007 was The Departed year. Right? It was The Departed year. And that was the year that Best Actor was Daniel Day-Lewis. No, Daniel Day-Lewis was with No Country for Old Men for There Will Be Blood. No, he won Best Actor that year, which was the year. But again, all of this stuff blurs in your mind because it doesn't really mean anything. And the whole idea of the movie business, and the whole idea of popular culture to some extent, is trying to hook people on stuff that is novel, that is different, that is short. Short in terms of its horizon line. And the part of what happens in television and movies is that it encourages people to believe that you have a beginning and a middle and an end to every story. And if it's a really serious movie, I mean, people are talking, Avatar was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And that's an epic. Now, 2 hours and 20 minutes in Jewish terms. You know, I mean, has anyone ever been to a Rosh Hashanah service that was that short? Right? I mean, but aside from the davening, the whole purpose of Yiddishkeit is not a short-term horizon, is not to look at what is novel and fresh and new and different and appealing to people, but looking at stuff that is timeless, that is old, that connects us with the past, that gives us a certain level of consistency. And there is a dramatic difference between the desire to replicate in our lives some aspects of the past and of what our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents lived, and the obsessions of popular culture, which always have to do with, well, what is the latest trend, and how have things changed, and what is fresh, and what is different, and who is the winner this year that will be totally forgotten about next year. I mean, the idea is people here tonight will remember the Chesed Award, and will remember Richard and Crabell, and will remember the way they were honored, because it means a little bit more in the long term than, oh, say, Monique winning for playing the world's most monstrous mother in Precious.
Right.
And that brings me to a second area of contrast, which is the difference between a big gesture. I mean, the Academy Awards, a big event. They estimate that 2 billion people will see part of this and see some news coverage of it. It's a very, very big deal. And again, big limousines, big preparations, tremendous, tremendous event, and it's supposed to be earth-shaking. One of the differences between that kind of approach and a Jewish approach, and this is even though that everybody knows that Jewish people are overrepresented in the movie business, the idea is it's tough for authentic Jews to be represented in the movie business. It's very tough, because our emphasis is not on the big gesture. It's not on the superficial. Our emphasis is on what you do at home, and what you do in your own life, and what you do with your own conduct. I mentioned before my book, Right Turns. One of the things that really changed me, I mean, as was mentioned, I went to law school once upon a time, and I worked as a political speechwriter and consultant for 4 years after taking a leave of absence from law school. And one of the things that soured me on politics was the idea that politicians are so often involved with big gestures, big public displays of concern and compassion. And the same people often behave very badly in their personal lives. And I'm not now just talking about the well-known scandals. But I know there are many people here who've worked in politics. Not everybody in politics is a nice guy. And yet what we emphasize in Yiddishkeit is you pay attention to a great leader. You pay attention to a great Torah figure, based not only upon the level of his charisma and the insight of his learning and his status as a Talmid Chacham. You can't be a Talmid Chacham. You can't be a great figure in Yiddishkeit if you treat the people around you poorly. There has to be a consistency between not just a big gesture, but goodness and decency and lasting impact on the world is based on how you relate on a very personal basis. What you do at home, what you do in the community, what you do on a smaller level.